My name's Darren. What's up? I'm from DNLmechanical.com, serving Fredericksburg, Stafford, Spotsylvania, and King George counties. If this is your first time here and you want to learn more about heating, air conditioning, and indoor air quality, hit that subscribe button down below and hit that bell so you'll get notified every time we put out new information about heating, air conditioning, and indoor air quality. What's up, guys? Good morning. It is Saturday AM. Let's get some adjustments here. So let's talk. Let's get off the subject about this all Rona stuff that's pretty much killing our economy, killing our businesses. I don't want to talk about that right now. What I want to talk about is an interesting subject that came up yesterday. And the subject is Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace. There is a lot, and when I say a lot, it actually disturbs me. When I looked into this, it disturbs me that people are out there doing this. So what I'm going to go into today is basically people selling HVAC equipment online. Okay? What I'm seeing a lot of ads on Facebook Marketplace. I'm seeing a lot of ads on Craigslist. I'm seeing a lot of ads in different areas for HVAC equipment. And I was in a conversation yesterday with a customer that asked, would we install their HVAC equipment if they bought it? And I had to think to myself two things. The first thing is, well, I had to ask a couple questions. Let's put it that way. What kind of equipment is it? Where did the equipment come from? And is it new or used? So after having that, asking those three questions, the question that they answered was, well, we bought it online. I said, okay, well, you bought it online. Who is the manufacturer? Okay. And then they wanted to know if we would install it. And I don't have any problem installing other people's equipment. I don't. The problem that I have is, who's determining if that's the right equipment for you? Is it you? Do you know how to calculate the size of your home? Now, what I'm about to tell you is going to be, it's going to shock you, number one, and number two, it's going to probably make you aware of something that you probably shouldn't be doing. And the reason why I say that is for a couple of reasons. When houses are built, for instance, you bought a house that had an HVAC system and it had a 3-ton system in it, let's just say, and 3 tons of air conditioning is 36,000 BTUs of air conditioning that's required to cool that home. So for every ton of air conditioning, it's 12,000 BTUs. Now, you go outside and you look at your unit and you see that it is the model has a 36 in it. Okay, and we can go in and determine, and I can show you how to figure out what size actually is in your home. But does that mean it's the right size? So let me say this to you. Every time myself or my company DNL does a replacement, we do a load calculation. So I'll use a prime example. I'll use my own home for instance, okay? My original home was 1,200 square feet. It had a 3-ton unit. Now, when I go back and do the load calculations for that, the house should have only had a 1.5 to 2-ton unit in it. Because by rule of thumb, we normally look at 700 square feet per ton. So that's on a relatively new home that's tight. So my house was built back in 1980s. It's a modular home that was brought in two pieces put together, right? So when I bought the house back in 2003, I found out that they cut a lot of corners. What I mean by that is when the person that owned it before, well, two people that owned it before them bought it from a company in North Carolina, they, they the house wasn't sealed very well. So based on their calculations, and they had to calculate this, that this house needed a 3-ton unit to keep it cool and heat it in the wintertime. It needed 36,000 BTUs, and then if it needed any more than that, it was a 20 kW heat pack. So after I bought it, I started realizing my electricity bills were like $400 or $500 a month. And I was like, something's wrong here. I mean, there's no way that this little 1,200 square foot house would cost me $400 to $500 every month for electricity. It was almost impossible. So I started talking to my neighbors around the area, and I'm like, how much was your electricity bill? Oh, $125. And I was like, $125? Why is mine like $400 to $500? And I got half the square footage that you got. Well, further in my investigation of my own home, I find out that the company in North Carolina didn't seal this house up too well. So I started replacing the doors and the windows in the home. Because the windows they were like trailer windows. You know, they had the inside window and then they had another storm window on the outside. There was nothing. The air in between it became the insulation, which were very, very inefficient. So I changed those. And when I started changing the doors and sliding glass doors and the windows, I started realizing that the siding that they used on this home was an aluminum siding that had a piece of styrofoam on the back of it. And it was nailed directly to the studs where the insulation was. So, anybody out there that has any type of knowledge of building, you have your exterior OSB boards on the outside of the home. Then you wrap it, and then you side it. Well, there was no OSB board between the siding and the studs in the wall. So I could actually go to an outlet on my electrical outlet and feel the cold air coming in. Now, they were insulated, but I could still feel the cold air. So what I decided to do is I started to rip all the aluminum siding off, put all new doors and windows, put all new OSB up there, seal all of it off, wrap it, and then reside my home. Well, after doing that, I made the house more tighter. So now my 3-ton air conditioning that once was adequate for that home is now no longer adequate. And you might sit there and go, well, why? Isn't it enough? It's too much. So in air conditioning, what we do is we remove the humidity out of the air. If we have bigger is not always better, okay? Especially in air conditioning. What I do want to tell you is, you want a bigger motor in your car? Yeah, it's going to be better because it's a bigger motor. It's going to go faster. But there's a bad side to that. You're going to use more fuel, right? So there's a give. Something has a sacrifice there. But in homes, you have to be dead on. You have to be right on the money when it comes to sizing up an air conditioning for your home. And I'm going to tell you that after that experience with me, a lot of homes that I go into is the same exact way. Is that the builder cut corners either normally in the upstairs unit, because that's where they spend the most money. And where they cut the corners is, instead of putting hard duct up there like it is in a basement, they put flex ducting in there. Now, I'm not knocking flex ducting, okay? It works, but it doesn't work efficiently, okay? So heating and air conditioning, the air handlers require a certain amount of static pressure, certain amount of pressure going down through the ductwork. If you have this one round duct all the way through, then you can't get any static back pressure. I'm going to get really technical here because the fan has to go to its curve. We call it the fan curve. As that fan reaches maximum curve, everything has to line up. Okay? So if you are deciding that you want to buy something online before you do it, make sure you call a professional. Because what happened to this customer is they bought a piece of equipment online and it was the wrong size. After doing a calculation of it, we found out that the unit that was installed in there when the house was built back in the, just like mine, back in the 80s and early 90s, that system was too big. They did a few upgrades. They've changed little things. They enclosed the garage. They put new windows in. They did this. They did that. Well, a lot of that has to take into consideration when you're sizing a unit for a home. Okay, so let's say, for instance, your garage was not insulated when you bought the home. Well, we can use a prime example: basements. That's one of the biggest things that happens in heating and air conditioning, of being missized. So when you bought the house didn't have a finished basement. Well, guess what? That system was designed to work with an unfinished basement. Not to put air, not to heat or cool that space in the basement. It was made to heat the upstairs and upstairs. So one unit did the first, I'm going to use the first floor being the first level floor, living space, and then the second floor where you sleep. The basement was unfinished, so technically it doesn't require to be conditioned space. Now you've had the house for 4 or 5 years, you want to make a rec room, the kids came, you got 2 or 3 kids, now you want to make a play area down there, so you decide that you're going to finish the basement off. Guess what? You start, or somebody does, starts cutting into the ductwork and putting vents in. What happens? Well, now you find out the air that was going all the way up to the top floor is not going up there no more. It is now hotter up there than it was 2 summers ago. And you downstairs is barely keeping, you can't keep up on a 98-degree day outside. So then you call a contractor to go out there and see what's wrong with it. And most of them will not pick up on it. Most of them will not diagnose it properly. And the reason they won't diagnose it properly is because they're not trained to. They're not trained to look at that. They're not trained to ask you the questions: was the basement finished before you moved in or after you moved in? So what I'm kind of getting at here, guys, ladies, gentlemen, children of all ages, beware when you buy something online. Not only whether it's going to be the right fit for you, but who's going to warranty it. Because we can't warranty somebody else's equipment. We don't have the ability to do that. It's not our equipment. One of the reasons why our prices are that way is because we warranty our equipment. The equipment that we put in your home is guaranteed. I go as far as giving you a 12-month guarantee. It's called a 12-month test drive. That if we install that system in your house and you're not completely satisfied and I can't do anything to make you happy, I'll take the system out and give you your money back. That's the D&L guy's guarantee. You tell me any other contractor or any other HVAC contractor in anywhere that's doing that. Why? Because I do my homework. I go in there and I size the equipment and the ductwork to work with what you're getting put in there. You know, you don't only have to be a HVAC guy. You gotta do math. You gotta do calculations. You gotta do. There's a lot of things that goes into sizing your air conditioning properly. Just because it was there before and it ran okay doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the same and run okay now. And I'll give you another example. Back in the 80s, we never saw 98 or 100-degree days in Virginia. We didn't. Well, guess what? We're starting to see them now. So what do we have to do to compensate for that? We have to change your design. We have to change the design temperatures that we once used back in the 80s to current temperatures that we use now. Or else you're not going to be comfortable in your house. So what I'll say to you is this. Beware of buying equipment online, and even if it's from a reputable company, because all they care about is selling it. They don't care about who's going to install it. They don't care about whether it's the right size. They don't care about if it's going to work for you or not. Okay? And if it breaks down, good luck trying to find somebody that's going to repair that. And I would tell you this. Get a hold of a HVAC contractor that knows how to properly size a unit for your home. Because your comfortability is important. Would you really want to spend, and I'm going to say this to you, yes, it's cheaper online, I got it. So let me tell you another story. Is it price or cost? Because if you're thinking about this on a price standpoint, you're doing it all wrong. You're doing it all wrong. So here's a story. So a man and his son decides to go. He wants to buy his son a bike, right? So he goes and buys him a bike, and he goes to the first store, and it's a Schwinn dealer, and the Schwinn dealer wants $65 for the bike. Now, right now, that's not a lot of money. I got it. I understand that, but maybe back in the day, it was a lot of money. He's like, I'm not paying $65 for a bike. So what does he do? He goes to the next store and he finds it's not a Schwinn bike, it's just a no-name bike, and he finds it for $35. Well, that's half the cost of what the other bike cost. He said, wow, let me buy this bike. So he buys the bike, brings it home. His son rides it for about a week, and all of a sudden, it breaks. So he's got to go back to the store. He's got to buy this part. It costs him $8. So now it's 35. He's got 8 into it. So this son rides it again for about a month, and all of a sudden the handlebars break. Now he's got to go buy a set of handlebars for $12. So now he buys handlebars for $12. So now that bike that once cost $35 now has added $12 to that and $8 to it. So now we're getting pretty close, right? So he buys the handlebars. He goes back in there. So now the son rides it for 2, 3 more months, and all of a sudden the chain and sprocket goes. Well, that's another $18. Do you see where I'm going with this? When you buy something that's cheaper because you based it on price and not cost, you're doing yourself a disservice. You need to start looking at basing it on cost. He finally got fed up and said, I'm not putting any more money in this bike. I'm done with it. We're going to go buy you another bike. They went back to the Schwinn dealership and bought the $65 bike. And the moral of the story is his son rode that bike for over 4 years and never had a problem with it. The moral of that story is don't base your decision on price. Base your decision on cost. There is a difference. Who's going to be there when the bike breaks down or the HVAC system breaks down? Who's going to be there to take care of you? Who's going to be the person that you're going to call when something happens? And who's going to be the person that's going to service it all the time? Very important. And I know right now we're all tight for money. I understand that. But the fact of the matter is you need to understand something. Don't make your decision based on price. Make your decision based on cost. Price is cheap. Cost is value. There's a value to the cost. There's no value to the price. Why do you think everybody's shopping at Walmart? It's because there's no value to their price. It's low. It's a low price. That's how they drag you in there. So, yes, it's convenient. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I agree with you. But in the long run, how many repairs do you want to do on that system before you finally get fed up and say, look, I made a mistake. I should have went this way. And I'm going to tell you something. The feedback that I got, a lot of people have done that. My estimate might have been $100 more and they went with the cheaper guy. Well, guess what? They got the cheaper service. The guy didn't size the ductwork right. The unit doesn't work when it's 100 degrees outside. Don't do that, folks. Do me a favor. Get a hold of a HVAC contractor, somebody you can trust. I mean, sit down with them, have a conversation. Right now, probably not a good idea. But the fact of the matter is, you can do an interview like a face-to-face interview. You want to get to know this person because this is the person, just like your mechanic, you want to trust them. So that's my tip. Beware of buying stuff online, Craigslist, Marketplace, all the other places, internet shopping. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with saving a couple of dollars. But if those couple of dollars are going to cost you thousands later, I'm probably old school, but if you remember Fram oil filters, you know what their motto was? You can pay a little bit now or pay a lot later. And that motto stuck with me for years and years and years. What they meant is you can go buy the cheap filter, but then when you have to replace your engine, you're going to have to pay more money. And Fram said, you can pay a little bit now for this cheap filter and pay a lot later. So buy their filter or buy an engine. That was their motto. And it worked for them for years and probably still works today. And they're a well-known brand out there. So that's what I'm trying to get at, guys. Little tip. Just beware. Beware of what is it the right fit for me? And I'm not questioning anybody's ability to determine whether or not that's the right air conditioner for you. But there's a lot of things that come in play with that. And there's a lot of things that you need to understand that it's not just, you can't oversize it. You have to be right on. Or else in the middle of summertime, you will not take the humidity out of the air. It'll say 72 degrees, but you'll walk in the house and you'll start sweating. Or your upstairs will sacrifice because you're not getting enough airflow up there. Because nobody determined that the basement was finished after the AC was put in. Which means that they robbed Peter to pay Paul. They put air in the basement and they forgot that they would rob the air from upstairs in the bedrooms. So that's my tip. Beware of online sales. I'm not saying we all shouldn't try to find a good price, but beware of what you're getting. Okay, whether it's new or used, or it's and whether or not you're going to get a warranty with it. Because I'll tell you right now, most of the new units are getting 10-year warranties. If you're buying it online, you may not be able to get that 10-year warranty. And I'm not saying you will. You might be able to, you might not. It's all got to be registered. So rely on your D&L guy. You got any questions about this? Give me a call. I'm more than glad to help you. 540, you see my number right here in the background, right there. Ooh, this one, right there. Call me. I'll be more than glad to explain this further with you and go through a scenario and tell you what you need. I can do a calculation on your home and tell you what size you need. Again, dnlmechanical.com. You can email us at askthednlguy@gmail.com or dnlmechanical@gmail.com, or you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. Leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. Take care, guys. Happy Saturday and enjoy.